Okay, maybe I'm ready to proceed.
Thank you. This is the time and place for the Planning Commission's regular meeting of Tuesday, August 19th, 2025. I'd like to call it to order and ask that we have the roll call.
Did you want to do the Pledge of Allegiance?
No, we did the Pledge of Allegiance earlier in the
Apologies, yes.
joint meeting.
Commissioner Lopez?
Here.
Commissioner Furdak?
Here.
Commissioner Anderson?
Here.
Commissioner Covell?
Here.
And Vice Chair Warner?
Here. This is the time also for a public forum. It's an opportunity for the public to address the Commission on items of interest to the public that aren't listed on the agenda. Because of restrictions imposed by the Brown Act, the Commission may not engage in discussion nor take action on matters not described on the agenda. I would like to ask if there's any member of the public who would like to have any comments in the public forum. Seeing none, I'll move on to the next item. There are no, yes, there are one consent item. Item 4.1, approval of the minutes of June 17th, 2025. Have my fellow commissioners had a chance to review those minutes? If so, I'd like to entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Please call the roll.
And excuse me, and Ms. Cavell will abstain because she was not here.
Okay, that's good, thank you. Yes, that's fine.
Commissioner Furdak?
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
I was absent, but I did watch it, so yes.
Commissioner Covell?
Abstaining.
And Vice Chair Warner?
Approve. Now we move on to scheduled matters. The next item, item 6.1, is nomination and election of a new Planning Commission Chair and Vice Chair and designation of the Commission Secretary. Any presentation by staff on this, or should we go right to entertaining nominations?
I think the staff report's pretty clear that, we're looking for the primarily key nominations for a new chair and a vice chair, and, the recommendation to have Ms. Gamero continue to be the Planning Commission Secretary.
Very good.
I'll turn it back to you. Thank you.
I'd like to open it up for nominations.
I'd like to nominate Vice Chair Warner to Chairman.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Any discussion?
I think he'll be terrific.
Seeing none, shall we call the roll?
Commissioner Furdak?
Do I
Vote yes.
just vote yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Covell?
Yes.
And Vice Chair Warner?
I think I generally abstain from this, but I would vote yes if we need to record a vote as yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or you accept?
That's right. Okay. Moving on, we have a need for nominations for Vice Chair. Are there any nominations for Vice Chair?
I would like to nominate Sue Furtick.
I second. Any discussion? Okay, call for the vote.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Chair Warner?
Yes.
Commissioner Covell?
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez?
Yes.
And Commissioner Furdak?
I accept.
Thank you.
And if I understand correctly, there's also a requirement of a vote on designation of the Commission Secretary. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, again, I think Ms. Gamero, I would nominate her to continue as our Commission Secretary. I so move.
Second it.
Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Chair Warner?
Yes?
Commissioner Lopez?
Yes.
Commissioner Covell?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
And Vice Chair Furdak?
Yes.
Okay, we have no other scheduled matters, but I might make one comment on what we just did. Those of you who are not appointed as chair or vice chair, you're not off the hook. You're equally involved and responsible for supporting us all as a collegial body. So don't think we're not going to, that Ms. Furtick and I aren't going to assign and expect help from all of you. And again, one of the things that I've enjoyed on this commission is the collegiality, but also the willingness for everybody to contribute, express their opinions, and actually help staff with making good decisions. So I just want to tell you that as a warning, you're not off the hook. Any other comments before we go on to department reports? If none, how about Ms. DeRosa, department reports?
Yeah, more of a agenda forecast update for you, just to let you know. I know we had more of a quieter summer, and so we do have a meeting on September 2nd. The main item on the agenda will be we had a discussion about vision triangles back in May, you may remember, and we got some policy direction. So we'll be bringing the formal zoning amendment for that on that meeting. The meeting of the September 16th has been canceled because the city manager needs that date for a special study session. Encourage you all to participate. It's going to be regarding sale of city properties. And then our following meeting, which would be October 7th, we will be bringing the zoning ordinance amendment for the covered porches. And there may be some development project sign permits squeezed in some of those dates. We're still working on those internally. So I just want to let you know we do have some upcoming meetings, and thank you for the meeting tonight. I thought very good work by everybody and good input.
Yes, great staff work. I might want to open up to my fellow commissioners for any, what we normally do here is suggest any new items or additional items for a future agenda that you might want to have considered. Anyone have any ideas in terms of future agenda items? I know one thing that we've talked about tonight and also talked about in the past, as you know, is at some point in the fall it would be useful to have a kind of maybe even a work session where we look at how the zoning code update has worked, kind of look at any examples of where we might have improvement, also solicit public input on that, because one of the things I think we mentioned in a previous meeting, maybe 6 months or so ago, and it all depends upon our time and our staff resources, is getting at some point a mid-course working session to evaluate how the zoning code update has been going. But other than that, anybody else have any other agenda items?
I just have a question about the previous meeting with the housing. Is there going to be a follow-up meeting with all those questions and
Good.
the research that people wanted to kind of have people do? And
Yeah, let me get, that's a great question, because we have this a joint meeting with the city council. I think what we should do is confer with the mayor and staff, also confer with the city manager, because one of the things that is a lot of those questions were policy related questions as well. Actual technical questions of how the code works, Maya can certainly answer with the various people who had questions. But I heard a lot of questions about kind of the process for how we evaluate various projects, particularly under the state mandates. So if what you're referring to is the nominal questions, those we generally basically go back and if we identify in the video parties that had specific technical questions, staff usually takes the time to go back and answer those and offer those as answers if they're just technical. Policy questions, though, are some things that I think I heard we ought to confer with the city council, because there may be some follow-up the city council wants to have. Does that answer your question?
kind of. I think there's also just the bigger picture of like the master plan of St. Helena. I think somebody was talking about being proactive or a mission statement, or just kind of, I know we have a general plan, and I'm curious to know if there is any sort of like master plan for St. Helena that also kind of ties into the whole Napa Valley overall master plan. Like, is there a governing body that looks at Napa Valley as a whole in, one of the questions
good.
was like fire exits and things like that.
Good question. I have some answers to that, but why don't we defer to Maya in terms of her perspective on the overall regional planning?
Yeah, and I think part of maybe talking about the master plan or like what's our guiding principle. So the city does have an adopted mission statement, and the council every year does have adopted goals, which actually drives our work plan and actually helps inform our budget too. So, all those years we were working on the housing element and the zoning code, those were specific work plans that said, do this, and so we basically check boxes and staying accountable to these work plans that the council directed staff to do. And a lot of it does, some of it's economic development, but a lot of it does bleed over into the realm of the Planning Commission. And then we actually have council representatives that actually work collaboratively with other members in Napa County related to climate action. We're working on a climate action plan jointly. Both planning and public works have city staff representatives that meet regularly with Napa Valley Transit Authority, and we're talking about the next phase of the Vine Trail, and my senior planner Jackie has actually been assigned to be the planning rep. So in terms of like regional coordination, collaboration, is there one for just housing? I would say that was all done through the ABAG RENA methodology, and every city had to look at their assignments, and then so that we were talking with Barbara post the session. It's like, yeah, well, once you've been assigned, you can't go back and say, oh, we want to take some out. It's like that we're committed to it. So so from the housing side, I think we have our work plan spelled out in the housing element. It was very good to see the objective standards being laid out of like, well, what more can we do? And I know there's a bunch of public work standards that we could actually make objective. They're not like adopted. And until we do that, we can't actually enforce a project to follow those, right? Not all these live in the zoning code. I wanted to clarify that. A lot of these objective standards are depending on what realm they're in, if they're, transportation related, public safety, a lot of them are.
I might add that I found, and this is where probably we all are happy or unhappy that there's so much information available online. If you go to the city council agendas, at the end of the agenda for each meeting is a list of reports from all the council members who are representatives on all these regional organizations. And a lot of them are county-based, like the climate action plan. There's actually a draft climate action plan that's pending before the public right now for comment through September, developed by all the jurisdictions, including St. Helena County and everybody else. Napa Valley Transportation Agency has the transportation planning. And then if you go to the county and some of the other cities, each of them have a general plan, and each of those general plans, depending on the vintage, has a housing element. So, I agree with Maya that there's not one housing element for the county, but what's very useful is to go and review, particularly the county housing element, compare it to ours that's online. We can send you links to that, but and basically, if you're bored to death with your life, you can go spend a lot of time reviewing all the housing elements. But the data is very useful. For example, on fire, I'm on the Napa Firewise Foundation and also Fire Safe Council here in St. Helena. I found what's called the hazard mitigation plans that are promulgated by all the cities in the county. Each have a disaster mitigation element that's required, which includes evacuation planning, mitigation of risk, things like that. I find those very useful to compare between the city of St. Helena. Ours has been updated with our updated hazard mitigation plan. The Napa County has done so. So what's useful is to kind of take advantage of those online resources, skim through them. You can never get through them by reading them in depth, but they really show a certain amount of regional coordination because our city council members, as Maya said, a lot of their time, frankly, is spent going to the meetings of these regional bodies. We don't, fortunately. Well, Maya does a lot of the city planning, the planning, and Autumn went to the Planning Academy, and there'll be another one like that, I think, this next year. But we on the Planning Commission, I think it's somewhat fortunate, don't have to go to those policy discussions. Our city
No,
council
but
leaders do
each of the council members are
Right.
assigned to
Right.
all the various, so you can go on the city website and find out which of the council members are assigned to each of those
Right.
regional groups. So it's all there online if you want to access it. But if we can just kind of close the loop, I would love to, if we could, get on the calendar when we want to regroup and revisit some of the zoning code updates that we wanted to revisit, because I do have a pretty full fall
Right.
and some out of the country travel. So it'd be great, and I'm sure others do too. So it'd be great to at least, get it on the calendar, even if, it's down the road.
Yeah, that's great. So Maya, really, it's really staff that has the burden to kind of look at their schedule, but for all of us, maybe Maya, check. I would think it would be most useful as a work session that's open to the public, not as a, a meeting with other agenda items, but find a time in the fall, September, October, November, where we might be available for a morning, and all of us get together and actually go through initial kind of back and forth with staff in terms of an update, what's worked so far, what hasn't worked.
Yeah, because I know you
makes
have a
sense.
parking lot list that you've already
right.
put together.
That's a good
Yes,
point.
and
Yeah.
that can be an attachment, just so you know these are coming anyway, but then we can,
And then,
get that.
yes.
Yeah, well, I can come to the next meeting with a date that I'm going to propose that we
Okay.
bring that, maybe early November.
And would it be helpful if we all give you dates that we know that we're going to be out of town?
Absolutely. If you
Okay.
know your travel
That's a great-
schedule
Yep.
between now and the end of the year with the holidays coming, that would be very,
Why
very
don't
helpful.
we do that unilaterally? Do ahead, give Maya our travel
and-
schedule. We're
and
not
Zinnia,
available.
yeah.
Yep, that's a great idea. Anything else for future agenda items or discussion? This is good. I think that's a great, yes, go ahead, Michelle.
So Maya, you mentioned that there was already mission statements and work plans. Is that something that can be shared again? Like maybe you can circulate
Online,
that?
yeah.
It's online.
Can you send the links? That way it's just easier to like look at that stuff.
Yeah.
Yep,
I can find that. I think it's all hidden under the city council webpage.
right.
And I guess there was one comment that Hector had made that I guess was one of the thing of like how can we evaluate the need base? Was that what you were saying, Hector? Like how do you evaluate the need base?
I guess my concern is, I know the community is a great community, and I think what would bring us together to solve the problems is they see the need, because they could fight tooth and nail against something, but if they see how much city workers we still haven't filled, what positions we can't fill, as the retiring teachers leave, there's not new ones that could come in and like rent a place or even buy a place. If they see the need just to run the function of the city, it's kind of like not being able to maintain your house. That's what I meant, that I think they just got to see it, and then from there we could work as a community to try to say what's the best outcome, but we all want to see the city fair. And I think that's kind of the simplifying a complex problem, and that's all I was
I agree 100%, because you got to start with what is it you're trying to achieve? If one thing we're trying to achieve is make it affordable for the workers who support the city to live here or live nearby here. That's one of the points I think maybe, Michelle, you've been making, is you got to look regionally. You can't just look at St. Helena, but if you can get a data set on that, and there are various places where you can get that. You can get that from the chamber. Chamber has a sense, I think, probably a bit of what the workforce is. Autumn,
There's
your
actually
thoughts?
a really good report by Generation Housing called The State of Housing in Napa Valley. It came out last year, and our town, St. Helena, helped author it.
That's great.
And it is extremely thorough.
Is good. Would that be on the Our Town St. Helena website, you think?
It is, yeah.
Great.
So this is what brought me to thinking about it, because I was totally, it didn't even cross my mind. I came to some council meeting, I don't know if it was trying to get this position or whatever, and I sat there and I heard about this open position for, I think it was for water district, wastewater operator.
Right.
And it had been open 2 years, and they asked, well, why can't we get anybody? And they said because they are offering the same wages in Dix and everywhere else, and it's cheaper to live there, so they don't want to, nobody wants to, commute in for the same wages. And we just not competitive. And I said, holy cow, it's been open, and this is where we drink our water. We can't fill some, so that was got me thinking, I don't think we need a statistic that's, I just want them to know what's affecting them now, because I don't think they see it.
No.
And I didn't see it. If they
Had
didn't
anybody
mention how
heard
long
that
it was open.
Sunshine was on the brink of leaving? Have you
No,
heard
I didn't
any of
know,
that?
by the
I
way.
did not know that.
And I buy
I
sandwiches
don't
there
know
all
if
the
it's true,
time.
but that shocked me.
That did too. My daughter, we always buy sandwiches there. We don't care if it costs a little more. We figure, well, it's keeping all these people working, but
Yeah.
I think all of these things are great. I think like having these links, I'm just curious, is there anybody who's looking at all of these things and analyzing them? Like when we're saying you can go online and
Right.
see this, you can do this, I'm just thinking for the next workshop, if we are inviting the public, like how can we make it more productive by like, if they want more transparency, can we like start putting links on the website? Like here's, based off of today's meeting, the joint meeting on housing, here are links to all these like pieces of information in one place that you guys can take a look at and have reviewed so that the next workshop becomes more productive and there's more over master planning. I really like that. I'm learning so much. So
Right.
so thank you guys. I just am wondering who's not just thinking about the master plan, but who is orchestrating that.
And again, this is my opinion, others have personal experiences on this. Some of the people you hear from are expressing discontent, not because the information is not available to them, but it's because they don't want to take the time to review the information. So there's a different, I'm trying to be polite about that, but basically what Maya was trying to be polite about is pointing out that the city goes out with extensive amounts of public meetings, public workshops, transmittal of material online. Now, yes, some people still aren't online. People still are not communicated by going online when they get a notice. But those people we're never going to satisfy because they just don't want to take the time to learn. On the other hand, your point where you see people come tonight, and some of them are the same people we see in the Planning Commission. They're very good. They're very diligent. And those are the ones you really want to have come in and make their voices known and understand what's going on. The benefit of Barbara's presentation was after a few of our, remember a couple of our Planning Commission meetings last year where people were coming in and saying, well, screw RENA. We don't have to do any of that. We're the city of Santa Elena. We don't have any obligation. And our chair at the time, which maybe I should resign as chair right now and not have to do this myself, but our chair at the time had to somewhat firmly say, no, this is mandated by the state. We have to follow RENA. And we have to get our housing element certified. But for a lot of people in the audience, they didn't want to hear that. But then other people in the audience did understand, and they just needed more engagement, if you will. And so it isn't enough to just go online and give notices. You have to have these workshops. You have to recruit people. And by the way, a significant percentage of them are never going to be persuaded, by no matter how much information you provide, because they actually don't want to take the time. And we don't blame them. They've got busy lives. I don't know if any of the others have any comment on that, but it's a function of a planning commission and a development is a certain percentage of people don't want to take the time to learn or understand. You want to reach the other people who really do want to be educated and understand. Does that make sense?
Michelle, I think the other thing is, I know I always have to remind myself about this, but that's the scope of this commission is that we're not really supposed to be like a policy setting
That's right.
body. That's the purview of the council. So as much as we want to be like proactive and, be like, an advocate or advocacy, that's really not the role of the planning commission. So what we want to do is educate, and we want to be responsive and proactive, in our scope. But, it's not our responsibility to figure out the housing solution,
Policy,
we want to make it, we want to create the tools like, the zoning code, the general plan that makes it as easy as possible for the vision that the council sets, to be executed.
And I'd like to see more of the people who do not have the time to educate themselves online to actually figure out ways to reach them so they are more involved, because we're a small town, and I'd like to see all 5,500 residents involved and understanding everything that we're doing, but we can't set policy. We can only implement, and that's the challenge we have. Fortunately, we don't have to set the policy.
Yeah, I wasn't asking of us who was going to do
Right.
that. I went like in general, is there,
The general plan.
like someone on staff, or like, I don't know what all the boards are, but are there,
You can find all that out online.
Yeah,
Just go
City
to the
website.
city website and start digging around. It's all usually on the council,
And I know, Michelle, we're going to have another orientation visit this week, so maybe we can look at the computer and I can kind of navigate you to where some of those resources are.
yeah. And I do think it's important for all of us, and all of us do it, to actually familiarize ourselves with the housing element that's online. And there are other parts of the general plan, even though it dates back to 2019, that are very useful because they set the policy, but they have a lot of detail. I mean, a housing element, we spent a lot of time. It was in my first year. Autumn, you were here for the whole part of the housing element. It was a very extensive, detailed process involving the Planning Commission and the City Council, and it covers a lot of ground. I find it as a great reference. So if you wanted to start anywhere, I'd start with the housing element.
just one of the things, did you guys see, Barbara had presented, there was like something about a date of January 1st, 2020, that the objective standards or subjective standards only before that time could be applied. And so I'm not understanding whether or not, because we rewrote our zoning amendment in 2023, does that mean none of that stuff would apply currently?
If I understand the question, is if it's an application filed and completed before January 1st, 2020, it can still be subject to the subjective standards. Maybe we'll refer to our
So
attorney
first off,
here.
we've gotten a little far afield for future agenda
Yes.
items.
Yes, we have. I'm sorry. Let's not.
But to answer that question, that was related to Housing Accountability Act
Right,
projects.
right.
So that cutoff date applies to projects that are being processed under the Housing Accountability Act. It doesn't blanket exclude our standards that were adopted after that date for every project.
Right, good. And we'll have plenty of time. Again, Maya is a great source of information. Sit down with her and get acquainted, because Maya did that with all of us when we started, and it's been really valuable. Any other agenda items or any discussion?
Like to go home and have dinner?
Are we all ready to go home and dinner? Meeting, I don't want to use this. Adjourn. Thanks.